What up? This is Quamon Fowler of Texas Tenor Music Academy, um, Jazz Webshed as well. I got man here, my boy, playing in the play yard. Uh-oh, well, what are you standing on to get like that? I was like, you too high. No, take this bucket out. So he gonna be hanging with me, so I might need to watch him. You're gonna hear him in the background, but it's okay. That's part of life. Gotta watch my own son. Well, mama, take it easy. She's back there hanging with my baby girl. Okay, but I just wanted to keep it moving and wanted to do a live session. And y'all can ask some questions. This is a Q&A session. A Q&A session. You can see chat. I got my computer right here. So if you send or send a question in, I can definitely answer when it pops up here. So even if you want to say what's up, say what's up. Put your name and what's your instrument, and I'll be able to see it here, and we can chat. Definitely, reach out. I'm gonna say what's up. I need to put my boy on mute. Oh man, made in Brazil. Is this old Antonio Jr.? What's going on? Okay, we're here live, and this is Bright Spot. I was just trying to get some practice in and answer some questions. And we are going. So I was just messing around on alto, but I can see your questions, comments, or whatever if you put anything here. I was trying to do this scale. Basically, I was watching Jacob Collier talk about the negative and positive harmony. So if you take one thing in one direction, you can take the same thing in the other directions. So basically, if you do a scale, and the formula for the scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And so if you take it back the other way, one way you get the Ionian scale, and then the other way you get the Phrygian scale. So what I did is, of course, that's the major scale. That's you all right, buddy? That's F concert. So if I go down, it changes to the Phrygian scale. Okay, I'm here. So once again, I can see you in the chat area if you got something, you got some questions. I see you. What's going on, Sergio Sachs? How long did it take you to find your setup? Anything I should avoid as a player, in your opinion? Alto sax player from San Antonio. Okay, so my boy is answering it, but actually, I just been playing alto for a short time. Actually, for probably a couple years now. A friend of mine gave me his alto, and then I recently this year got an Ochres alto. So this is Ochres, Ochres V6, and this is an awesome horn. I really enjoy it, and I just bought what did I buy? I bought a Meyer. I bought a Meyer 6, and I play on the Van Duren. I was playing on the Van Duren Java Reds, but I switched to the Van Duren V21. And this is my Saxotone Super Stack ligature. I use this one. Guy out of Garland, Texas makes them, and I sell them on my website. So this works for me. It's really nice. Really, really warm. Um, nice, even sound. You know, actually, I think this what I'm playing on here. I just grabbed. This is the silver. I think. Because, let's see. I might have grabbed the wrong mouthpiece. Let me look in this case. No, that's right. It's the right one. So, yeah. Yeah, this is the Meyer. So, I've been playing this and it works out. I got a Jody Jazz, but it's a little bright for me. It's not as sensitive as this one is. The Meyer's really round and not too much added stuff, you know. So this works out for me. So you see anything I should avoid as a player, in your opinion? I don't know. Oh, you're talking about it in terms of equipment? I mean, we're all different, so I don't know what you're going for, what sound you're going for. I mean, it's tons of mouthpieces, but the ones that I've seen that have been consistent is pieces like the Meyer and also the Auto Link. You know, I like Auto Link. I play on a vintage Auto Link on my tenor, and yeah. So that's what I was saying. You know, you can't go wrong with those. I like the hard rubbers too. So that's it. And what I do, I've been here lately, you know, dealing with family. My daughter was born a couple weeks ago, actually, and so we're still trying to get adjusted and just, you know, on the schedule. I know I've been needing to be around in the evening, so I hadn't been able to play gigs, a lot of gigs like um, you know I have, just because I need to be around. And it's all good, you know. I'm going through changes, so now it's more opportunity for me to share with you here at the house with the kids while I watch my son. So one of the things, if once be free, feel free to put your question up here. I'll just be talking and looking over here and glancing if I see anything. Make sure you share it, tell others about it, and I love to help you out. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel, Texas Tenor Music Academy, or Jazz Webshed is what I started originally. And so make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also, I'm trying to build up my personal channel, the Texas Tenor TEXAS10ER. I'm trying to build that back up. That's where I put my performance links and clips and stuff like that. And so I'll put that here so you and subscribe to that channel as well. Because for here I do more teaching and vlogging type stuff, but for that other channel, that's going to be one you'll be able to see more performance clips. So definitely check that out. All right. So, all right. So here's my thought. You know, I pulled out my alto and I wanted to practice. So one of the things we'll do is look at something. What was I doing? I was working with a student the other day, and we were looking at giant steps. And one of the things I was telling him is a good way for you to look at giant steps is just think of it as like major chords descending. And so on alto, the first chord is B major. Um, yeah, that's right, B major. So if you think about the major triads, you know, if you think about an uh, augmented triad or chord, you have B, you have G, and then you have E flat, and you got B, and that's really the movement. If you think about it, because we're going, you know, so the movement of that song. Sorry, I need to be in alto key. So if we look at that first chord, so if you take the second note or the second chord of each one, that's a major chord. We're just going 5 1 5 1. So the first one is B major, and then so instead of looking at the 5, just look at the one chord. Okay. Then we go back to the B chord. I'm sorry, not the B chord. Is that right? So we'll go to that's a G. That's a 2 5 1 in G. So we got the G major chord. Then we go down to that B flat. Am I calling it out right? No, I'm not, because I'm on alto. That's E flat. I'm sorry. So we go from that G and go down a major third to E flat. And then we go down to the B. So you see that? So we got I'm just looking at the major chords. And then we got the 2 5. That's the G. So that's something that I was working with a student on, just showing him how he can simplify a tune like Giant Steps and just take the second chord or only the major chords, and that way in your mind you can simplify looking over it, playing over it. And I think I did a video already that you can check out of me going over this. This is like when I was practicing at the school and figuring it out on alto. So I'm still working things out, but it'll definitely help you to simplify what's going on, so you're not looking at chord. So once again, if you have a question, if you have a comment or anything, I can see the chat over here, and I'm on YouTube. So if you're on another platform, in order for you to get in on the conversation or ask any questions, you want to come on over here and post on on the YouTube page. No, that's not right. I'm thinking about tenor. Yeah. So I'm trying to get used to it on alto. Definitely. So let's see. Do we have another question? Yeah, I have another question here. What's up, Tim? Let's see. At one pit. Okay. Since I'm gonna come back to you, Sergio. I see Tim put something here. So, what do you think are the most important elements to playing bebop? Scales, arpeggios, enclosures. Okay, that's a great question, Tim. So actually, you called it. I mean, you named it in sequence, and that's how you do it. If we look at what you said, scales, you work on scales, you work on arpeggios, and then you work on the enclosures. But it's another element in there, and that's transcribe. You got to get the language from somebody who can already speak it well. And so if you take something like, here's a 2-5-1. I'm in the key of C minor. So this will be B. Okay, yeah, it'll be B flat. 2-5-1 and B flat. So that's a 2-5-1 and B flat. Okay. Now that's the scale. Now you want to know your scales. You got to include the modes in there. So it's in B flat. So if you know the second mode of B flat is Dorian, and the fifth mode is Mixolydian, and the first mode, of course, is Ionian, the B flat. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is arpeggios. Now, now you can work on arpeggios from the root position. You can also work on it from the different modes, from the third, the fifth, and the seventh. So that's really hip too. So think about third, fifth, seventh, and ninth. Okay, that's from the thirds. Let me go down. If on the fifth degree, I would have to change that fourth to an augmented fourth because that C natural wouldn't work, you know. So this actually opens up more colors too. That's root position. So one of the things you can do before I go too fast, because I know some people, and even myself, uh, get ahead of myself to where I'm not understanding what's happening. So If we just take one chord, the A minor, that's for alto. But if you're on the piano or B flat instrument, or if I do the concert key, it'll be C minor. Do this first. All right, that's from the root, third, fifth, the flat seven. Okay, and even the nine. Okay, let's do the same thing for the five chord. That the F7. Okay, now let's do it from the one chord. So on the one chord, what I have to do is change that four chord to a sharp four. So once I get to the third, it's fine, but when I get to the fifth, that's when it gets a little funny sounding. I changed that top note to I changed that to a E natural concert. Okay, and that's something to think about. Now what do? We got enclosures, and that's good that you said that. So if I play, make up licks or lines. Okay, so an enclosure basically is when you surround an actual note that's on the card. Usually, that's within the card. Usually is 1, 3, 5, 7, and even 9. So what I would do is add an enclosure right before I land on one, or right before I land on, the strong beat that the chord lands on. So, for instance, I can go. So I enclose the one. I enclose the third, and then so I enclose the fifth. I enclose the seven. Let's see if I can do the nine. So I enclose the nine on that one. So what you can do enclosures off 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And the arpeggios, this is where you can come up with some different colors that you're not used to. We're all used to doing it from the root position. But do it from the third. Okay, so what is that? That's C major. So for me, it's C major. If you're concert, it'll be E flat major. And then the third off of that five chord. So the five chord is a F, and so that would be A half diminished, or A locrium. So it's good to know the modes so you can know where you are. So we go from a E flat major going to a G half diminished. Is that right? No, an A half diminished. I'm sorry. Because we go from E flat. I'm getting confused. I need a piano so I can be looking at the notes, because I'm on alto and I'm used to transposing from tenor. So let me not confuse you. So first is C minor 7. This is concert key. C minor 7 going to an F7. And so if you go up to the third, that's an A. And so if that's an A, then that would be A half diminished, because you would be playing in the key of B flat, but just starting on the seventh. So you got it? All right, so what I was doing is playing off of. So So you can that I'm sorry, um, you landed on actually you landed on the D minor. So you can come up with lines. I'm on the thirds. So you can come up with lines all day. Sit and mess with that. And so basically, that's like information, arpeggios, the scales, arpeggios, and enclosures. You can come up with lines all day, and it's just a matter of making up stuff and remembering what you make up, and consciously starting from the third, the fifth, and the seventh, and stuff like that, just to come up with cool lines. This is all exercises and stuff just to get your fingers get under your fingers so that you can play some cool stuff through changes, and that really helps. All right. So I hope that was helpful. But the main thing too, I always say, is transcribe because you got to get the language initially. Anyway, you got to get the language down first, and then once you get the language, then you can consciously start saying, "Hey, I want to do something off of the third. I want to do something off of the fifth. I want to do something off of the seventh or the ninth or whatever." All right, great question though. Um, so let's see here. What's going on? We got Gag, Quinn. How do you? Let's see. Oh, no problem. You got it, Tim. Uh, Gage say, how do you recommend practicing time? Practicing time. Oh, like okay. Have a metronome, or play with a drum beat. You know, play with some type of click track or something like that. And what I used to do, I used to put on a metronome and practice, and practice slow and then gradually speed it up. I did a lesson on here, and I talked about that where you can play your scale, something like your scale. So you can do that, but if you want to be more hip, you can practice something else. Um, you can practice stuff. Let's say if you're talking about playing in different time signatures, that's another thing. Here's a good deal to do. If you take a standard or something that you used to playing, put it in a different key. I'm sorry, a different time signature. So if we got, let's see, can I do? If we take all the things you are. I'm trying to figure it out on alto. All the things you are. So the first chord is F minor. So I need to go D. Okay, I'm trying to get the changes first. So that's in 4. So I'll work on it in 3. Okay, that's in 3. Then I will work on it in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm probably dropping beats, but if you work on it slow enough, even get like a beat. I'm using my phone to stream, so I can't put on the beat, and I don't have anything loaded up on here where I can give you an example of the 5. But if you practice it slow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and I'm tapping my foot, and I'm going, uh, okay. Do the changes first. Do the changes first. So that's something that you can do. Work on it in 5, and then you also got 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, Oh, that's pretty fun if you do it in 7, but I never did it on alto. 1, 2, 7, 1, 2, 3. Anyway, that's something you can do, but you got to work on it slow enough and where you can feel where the flow is. Sometimes, of course, my licks are used to, my fingers are used to going and flowing in 4s or 8s, something like that. So I got to drop some beats and do some different rhythms just so I can catch up. But that beat is ingrilled in me. If it's 7, boom, so even if I go over and don't resolve right, I'm hearing what the beat is and I can catch it later. So, but you want to practice slow enough so you can feel it first. Okay, so let's see. I said I would come back and get you. Uh, Sergio says, at what point do you know you pursue music? Your influences. So yeah, when I started playing, I was like, oh, I see an arrow here. What is that? When I started playing, I was at Oh, it's telling me to go down. That's what it was. I saw an arrow on the screen. But anyway, I started playing at 12, and then I started messing around with jazz at 14, and I was, fairly successful, winning competitions and stuff like that, and being recognized. So it was promising. So I wanted to play. Um, I wanted to play, professionally, and some of my influences were coming up. Of course, I started off with the smooth jazz stuff, listening to Kenny G, Najee, Dave Koz, Grover Washington Jr., Kirk Whalum, Gerald Albright, cats like that. And then when I got turned on the straight ahead stuff, I got Sonny Rollins, Joshua Redmond, John Coltrane, Johnny Griffin, Stanley Turrentine, Ornette Cobb, James Clay, Gene Ammons, Branford Marsalis, James Carter. I started getting into these guys, and when I call off these names, Cannonball Adderley is another. Sonny Stitt, of course. But when I call these names out, I mean I really did study them. I would listen to their stuff and learn as much as I could from what they were doing. So that's what I did, and so I love straight ahead jazz because it's just so uh, well documented. It's so many different records and songs and vocabulary that you can dig into just to build your foundation and to build your own voice. And so, of course, coming up, playing in church, I was exposed to that vocal quality of playing just from hearing a lot of vocal singing and being around the church. And so, for playing from the heart and soul and getting that whole feel together. Um, Bernard Johnson was a gospel saxophonist. Is a gospel saxophonist. We did a concert a couple of days ago, and he was one of the first blacks to graduate from Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, and that's where I teach. And he did a concert with us. He played Amazing Grace, and man, it's simple. I mean, a lot of the stuff that he plays is not advanced, but at the same time, he plays with so much heart and soul, and he sings when he plays those hymns. And so those vocal qualities and playing from the heart and having nice sound and vibrato, all of that came from the church. And the more deeper language came from studying jazz. And I always studied jazz and played jazz, but at the same time, I always played in church. So both of those elements kind of, or those, what do you call this, communities or worlds kind of merged into me developing my own sound. So yeah, I see here we got Glenn. What's going on, Glenn? Glenn Dozer. All right, he said, what books do you study for technique? I really don't. I mean, when I first got started, Larry Till Selma book, I looked into that. I mean, and they have different books out there, the thesaurus of scales and stuff like that. But for the most part, I didn't really get into it. I had a teacher by the name of Alvin Baptiste, jazz clarinetist, who was my teacher back in Baton Rouge when I went to school Southern, and he had a concept called the root progression. And so the root progression is basically, he wrote a book on it, but for the most part, what the takeaway is, you take shapes, you take lines, ideas, chords, or different intervals and things like that through these different um, intervallic possibilities, like half steps, whole steps, minor thirds, major thirds, fourths, augmented fourths, and fifths. So if we look at it, I'm gonna play it on D because that's how we learned it on tenor. But I don't have my tenor. I just got alto, and I don't have my soprano in here. But the exercise is basically that's section one. Section two, major third. I'm sorry. Um, Major seconds going down, then minor thirds going up. Once we get up the top one octave, you go right back down. That's minor thirds up, then major thirds down. Then we got fourths, and I'm not going outside of an octave. Okay, and then we got the augmented fourths. Okay, here's the fifths, basically the fourths backwards. So that exercise, it's not really an exercise. You're not going to use that just verbatim like that. What you're going to do is play ideas and take it through those different sections. So if I say first section half steps, if I do something simple, I'm gonna just do that. That's the first section. Here's the second section. Uh-oh, my battery is why I looked on here. I gotta make it quick. So here's the second section. We got whole steps coming out. Then we got minor thirds going up. Then we got major thirds going down. Now we got fourths. What's up, buddy? We got fourths. Then we back at the bottom. Now we got augmented fourths. So now the last section is fifths, folks. So I took that line through the whole, all of the sections of the root progression. And so you can take anything through it. And the cool thing about working with that, you come up with all kind of ideas. That was just one particular lick. You can take chords through it. You can take intervals through it, you know, whatever, and you'll come up with some cool stuff. So that's something that you can study. And of course, you can take little commercial. You can definitely hook up with me. I can show it to you, give you a sheet on it and everything like that. If you want to take private lessons with me, give me a holler. I also have the website Texas Tenor Music Academy, which you can try out. It's a free trial that you can check it out. And I still got the deal where you can get a whole year for $100. Basically yearly for $100 to get access to that. So you can check that out. What else here? Okay, so yeah, I got the questions coming in. I guess I'm gonna have to watch it because my phone is dying. Hey, thank you and bless you. Yeah, appreciate that. How to get the higher notes on overtone series? Oh, that's a great question. Boy, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? My son. Man, I don't really work on the overtone series too much, Nate, but I can do it. I just practice. You just have to practice it. On alto, smaller instruments makes it a little harder, but on tenor I can do it better. They get closer and closer the higher you are up. Yeah, but I don't really work on that too much. You just have to work on it and get it. I know cats who can really, do that well and play a lot of multiphonics and all of that. I used to be into that really back in high school, but I'm not as much. What up, Mark? How you doing? What kind of elements do you use to extend the harmonies when you're improvising? An example being something like, okay, a tritone substitution. Love your playing. I appreciate it, Mark. Um, so I like to play, if it's a major chord, I like to play around with the sound where you go to the third and you make that a major triad. If it's so if it's C, I like to play over that C like it's an E triad. So it opens up that sharp five. It's really cool sound. And the thing about it, you can also, the thing that's interesting about a major chord, you when you play around with triads, you also got that next one, which is the D triad. Okay, and the thing you want to look at is the thing that's interesting is if you add one note. Let's look at if you look at C major 7. There's one note you can add in there. I added two, but I added that minor third, and I also added that sharp five. Because you're one note away from resolving it, so you can add the tension and release. Then when I put that sharp 11 in there, so I'm playing off of it like it's D7. You know, so and that's something I have to go into. I've done some lessons where I talked about the different colors and the different things that you can play over these different chords, like major chords and even seventh chords, because you can do the diminished thing off of the seventh chord. But I'm hitting on a lot of this. I don't have time to really go into it, a lot of it in depth. But I like to play around with stuff like that. Um, yeah. Also, do you make these? Oh yeah, the ligatures. Great question. Also, do you make these ligatures by yourself? Nah, I don't. Would like to try one. So you have to get the ligature. You got to go to my website, QuamonFowler.com, and let me see. Uh, I'll get the direct link and I'll put it here. A guy out of Garland makes them, and if you order it, we just need the make and model of your mouthpiece. So what type of mouthpiece? If it's for alto, tenor, or soprano, and you'll get the 2 and 3 ring ligature size for your mouthpiece. So they don't go on the metal mouthpiece auto link. So you have to have a hard rubber one. There you go. That's the link. So yeah, so that's the link to check out the ligatures. I think I need to bring it to a close, and I thank y'all for hanging out with me. Make sure you subscribe and leave comments, more questions, and I'll try to be consistent with doing these streams. Subscribe to this channel. Also, join me on my Texas Tenors channel as well. I shared the link earlier, but subscribe to that channel, and that's where I put my performance clips over there. Here's where is instructional material is going to go. but I share a lot of clips and stuff for gigs on that other site, on the other YouTube channel. And once again, if you want to hook up with me to take some lessons, you can definitely do that. Or you can join the membership site, Texas Turner Music Academy. I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you so much for your support. And if nothing else, I might have time to throw in one more question or to answer one more question, and then I'll have to roll. Actually, it's we got like 10 minutes. I'll try to stop at 9:30. So I started at 8:30, so it's all good. So if you have another question, you can throw out, and I'll see if I can answer it. Let me scroll up and see if I missed anything. Nate, okay, last question. Okay, is there any? Yeah, so I did miss this question from Nate. He said is there any school in the U.S. with that's affordable tuition fee for overseas students? I guess I'll take a year off just to study. Thank you. Oh man. Well, I teach at Southwestern Seminary, and it's a seminary college, but we do have music, a music jazz degree, so you can study with me and the other professors there, myself and Terrence Hobby. He's a drummer that plays with me. He actually teaches jazz history and jazz style and analysis. I teach private lessons and jazz arranging. What you doing, buddy? Um, but the tuition is kind of high. I mean, unless you're part of a Baptist church, you would get a waiver on your not a waiver, but you get a discount or something on your tuition. That's the school that I teach at. Otherwise, the big schools around here where people study jazz is UNT, University of North Texas, and we got here locally in Fort Worth, Dallas area. You have Weatherford College, which is a school that I went to, and they have a good jazz program there. Of course, it's not as big and popular as UNT. And then you got UTA, which is another local place in Texas. But around, and you talking about the U.S., I mean, they got tons of great schools, on the East Coast and also the West Coast. So it just depends on what you want to do. But it's going to be expensive on the coasts, you know. But you can definitely hook up with me if you want to take some lessons independently. I'm open to help. That's the thing you got to do anyway. Is get you a good mentor or somebody who you like their playing and you want to get into the nitty gritty. Just work with them. Go to them directly and study. That's what I did. So I guess let's see any other questions that I missed. I'm just scrolling up. I think that's it. We still got a couple minutes. Once again, we got like 3 minutes. I can close early. I'm just messing around. So thank y'all so much for hanging. I'm gonna roll, play with my son, and watch some more NBA. Think Houston and Minnesota are playing. Was it Minnesota or Milwaukee? Playing. Oh, I guess Houston won. I see James Harden up here. I had to turn down the TV because I didn't want anything popping up talking about content ID or I'm trying to stream the NBA. Anyway, I'm out, y'all. Peace. Thank y'all so much for watching, and we'll see you again. Uh-oh, I didn't hit it. Oh, I'm not going to keep this stream public, I don't believe. I'll put it for my members. But if you want to check it out, you have to check out the replay. You have to join Jazz Webshed. Yeah, join Texas Center Music Academy. All right, peace.